All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, this video is going to be about your Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment rights. Okay, now I've said it time and time again. This is probably one of the most important lessons you will ever learn because the thing is, it talks about what the police can do. Police, different forms of authority, and basically about warrants and probable cause and things like that. Okay. So it's pretty important. Okay, this is not like I said in class. This is not just stuff like when did Christopher Columbus land in the New World? No, this is stuff that really affects your everyday life. So it is vital that you know this stuff, that you understand it. And again, if you have any questions, come see me, and I'll try to answer the questions if I can. If I can't, if it's like way over my head and I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for you. Okay. So please, 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 if you have any questions, come to me, ask me, and if I can answer it, I'll answer it. If I can't, I'll find the answer for you. Okay. So today's objective, we're going to analyze the Fourth Amendment, or examine the significance of the Fifth Amendment, and we're going to create an argument on whether search warrants should always be needed. Okay. So here's your warm up picture. So basically, what I'm asking you is, what is this artist trying to say about the government? And I'm sure you can tell which of those two characters is the government, and basically the people in general. Okay, so look at that picture, analyze it, um, even look at the distance between them. That's what one student mentioned in class. So even look at that. Look at the facial expressions and things like that to help you answer this. Okay. So think about it, pause the video, write your responses because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So the Fourth Amendment says this in the Constitution: the right of the people to be secured in their persons, house, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describe the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Okay? Now, basically, anything you have, any possessions, whether it's your phone, even something as small as a pen, for crying out loud, all that kind of stuff. If the cops want it, they have to have a search warrant in order to get it. Okay. Now, how are search warrants? How are they made? Basically, a judge has to sign off on it, and they have to read upon like, why are you searching this place for? What's your reason for it? And that's where probable cause comes into effect. Okay, we'll talk about probable cause in a minute. But going back to the warrant, once the judge signs off on it, in the warrant, it says on there what the cops are looking for, where they're going to search, and things like that. Okay, now here's the thing: it's not going to say we're going to go to the master bedroom, look under the bookshelf, and on the third shelf of the dresser, we're looking for this. No, it's not that specific. Okay, it will be very vague. We're going to look and search the bedrooms, the any rooms of residence. They're going to say stuff like that. Okay, um, because the thing is, they want to make it as vague as possible so they can search places that they want to search. Now, the thing is, if they are looking for stuff, let's say they're looking for um, a computer, because they know you do a lot of your stuff on computers. They'll put any electronic devices. So that can mean electronic devices could mean your PlayStation, your Xbox, your laptop, your computer, even your phone. But the thing is, if it doesn't say it on there, they can't take it from you. Okay? Excuse me. So let's say, like you're on your phone while the cops are doing the stuff. They try to take your phone away. If your phone is not uh, on the warrant, they can't take it from you. You know, so Yeah. Okay. And the thing is too, um, which a student asked me too in class, can you sue the the police for destroying your place? No, you can't. Okay, they have to do the search, and they can get up and leave it all just trashed around. You know, they have that right to do that. Um, does it suck? Absolutely, but they can do that kind of stuff. Okay. Now let's go back to probable cause. What is that? Basically, it's like this. It's a reason. It's like if you see somebody driving in front of you and they're swerving left and right, you know, you probably thinking, okay, this person's either drunk, they're high, they're on meds, they're sleepy, they can't drive, their car is something wrong with their car. So there's different possibilities of what it could be. You don't know for sure. That's probable cause. You think you have a possibility, a reason for this. So that's why I tell students all the time in my class. Like, um, if you see a cop drive by and you're with your friends, don't be dogging them. Don't be throwing up hands, things like that. Don't be flipping them off because you're giving them probable cause to come around and talk to you. You know, don't give them a reason. That's exactly what it means. They have a reason now to look into whatever it may be. They have a reason for this or that. Okay? So don't give them a reason. That's what probable cause is. Okay? Um now, here's the thing. Is a search warrant always needed? No, it isn't. I had a student some years ago who basically had an uncle who lived with him, him and the family, and the uncle was out on probation. Part of being on parole says that the cops can raid your place anytime they want. And he basically told me, yeah, like around 2 in the morning, the cops raided the place, woke him up, and basically they were searching the room, for any type of drugs and things like that. We're checking the whole apartment place. And yeah, and he was upset. My student was upset because he was like, why'd they trash my side of the room? It's like, well, he could have put stuff in your side. You know, they don't know that. They have to check. You know, um, so that's one way they can go with around the warrant. Um, Another one is if the residence gives consent, meaning if the homeowner, uh, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, whoever says the cops say, "Can we come in and search your place?" If they say yes, they don't need a warrant. Okay. Now, another thing I told the class was sometimes the cops will say, "Can I come in?" You know. Now, what you should do is say you're coming in not to search, right? Just to, get out of the weather, things like that, whatever it may be. But they're like, yeah, we're coming in just to get out of the weather. That's one thing. They're acknowledging they're not coming to search. Because if they do find something or they start looking around and they find something, that's inadmissible. They can't use that in court because they didn't have a warrant and they didn't come in. They didn't get your permission to come in to search the place. It was just to get out of the elements, things like that. Okay. So even if they did find something, they can't use it against you in court. Okay. Because they didn't come in with the warrant and they didn't come in with the acknowledgement that, hey, you're allowed to search this place. Okay. Um, Another one, guys, and I know I have to say this every year, but I do. Your house is not safe. Meaning, it's when you're running from the cops, your house is not like a game of tag where you're safe at your house. And, some students have told me, "Oh, my so and so got arrested when he was in his driveway. The cops were chasing him. They can't arrest him on his property." Yeah, they can. And if that person ran into the house, the cops can bust into the house without a warrant, make the arrest, and search for if they, hey, he had a gun. Looked like he had a gun. Now they have probable cause to look around the house. So yeah, okay. Um, your house is not it's not a game of tag, okay? As one student said it too, it's like they think, what is this, GTA? You know, you can get your car painted a different color and the cops won't find you. It's like, yeah, exactly. Another one is emergency exception. So, um, one thing would be like if the cops can smell like meth being cooked or like sulfur, that tells them one meth, that's drugs. So they can like go to that house where the smell is coming from. They won't need a warrant. Same thing with like uh, sulfur, because that basically is like the smell of bombs being made. If they hear somebody crying for a murder, like help me, this and that, he's trying to kill me, so they can bust through the house without a warrant. Okay, because that's the emergency exception. And the last one is public view domain. Okay, so basically, if I can see it from the road, from the sidewalk, if I can see it, I don't need a warrant. You know, uh, so don't be doing anything illegal in your front yard, thinking, "Oh, the cops can't do anything to me. I'm on my property." You know, because again, if they can see it, yeah, they can get a warrant, so or they don't need a warrant. Um, and that also includes like if you're under the age, if you start smoking marijuana and they see you, yeah, they can uh you know basically arrest you for that, because for one, you're underage, and two, they see you doing it in public sight and things like that. So yeah. Okay. um One of the big ones I've heard a lot too is phones. Can they wiretap my phone? Okay. Originally, the cops, it was kind of up in the air. But in 1928, the Olmsted versus United States court case settled it, saying, no, the cops don't need a warrant. Because remember, the warrant says person, house, papers, and effects. So anything physical, a conversation is not, you can't just grab a conversation. You can't grab it out of thin air. So for a long time, they were like, no, your conversations aren't protected by the Fourth Amendment. The cops can wiretap your phone and things like that. But then in 1967, another case, Katz versus United States, came up, and that Supreme Court said yes, that there is something taken, and that's your privacy. So yes, the cops need a search warrant to listen to your phone conversations. Now, the thing is, I've said in class, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, the laws can change. You got to follow along and see what's happening with your rights and some of that, because some of these politicians might create a law and it could get passed where they say, we're going to check everyone who makes less than $100,000. We're going to listen. They're probably criminals, and we're going to listen to their phone conversation. You don't need a warrant to listen to those people's conversation, their emails, saying that you could tap into their emails, their text messages and things like that. They could make a law like that. And if you're not paying attention, how are you gonna know about it? And the time you know about it, it'll be already too late. And the thing is, you won't be able to say, "Oh, well, my rights and this and that." That law passed a long time ago. You don't have that right anymore. So you guys really got to pay attention and listen to the news, especially about your rights as citizens. All right. The Fifth Amendment says no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in the case arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice be put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal cases to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So, that top part basically says if, let's say, you're accused of killing 25 people, right? Um, the prosecution needs more than two pieces of evidence to try to convict you. Because chances are, with two pieces of evidence, are they going to be able to get you with all 25 charges, murder and some of that? No, right? So grand jury is the people who listen, look, basically see all the evidence, and they decide, yeah, that's enough evidence. We think that's enough evidence to convict this person. But again, with like two pieces of evidence, they'll go, no, the state needs to find more, because you might ruin this person's life going through this. And based off just two pieces of evidence, no. Um, Now, this next one is pretty interesting. It says you cannot be charged with the same offense twice. So let's say January 1st, 2024, you rob a liquor store, right, on the corner of First and Shields. Okay. Now, you get arrested, you're charged, you go to jail for it, and you do the crime, right? You serve your time in jail, you do that, you get out, right? The cops can't arrest you for robbing the convenience store on January 1st, 2024 again, because you already served that time. You were found guilty, you served your time in jail, that's it. Okay. Now, if you rob the convenience store on January 1st, 2025, that's a totally different charge now. Even though it's the same crime, it's in two different times. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So just because, oh, I was already, went to jail for a robbery. Yeah, but that was way back then. And this is a new one. Two different incidents. Okay. You can't be charged for the same one twice. You've already served your time for it. Okay. Says, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself. So when the Miranda rights, the very first sentence, you have the right to remain silent. That's where it came from. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything. Okay. And they tell you anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And trust me, they'll use it. You know. So if you're like, I didn't do nothing, I didn't do nothing. Guess what? They're recording that. I didn't do nothing. I didn't do that. This person obviously thinks admitted that they did nothing. So if they try to get something on you, and they have video and things like that. Well, now you just committed perjury. You're saying I didn't do it, and now video says you did do it. You know, so just keep your mouth closed if you ever get arrested. The next one, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So the government, the state, they can't just take your life, your freedom, or your property without going through the process of the law. You have to have a trial. You have to have the whole thing with the attorneys and the witnesses and things like that, conviction with the jury, you have to go through all of that steps. And if you are found guilty, then yeah, then the state and the government can take your freedom, your property, and things like that. Okay. But they just can't take it before all the trial happens. Okay. It says now the last part says, nor private property shall be taken for public use without just compensation. So let's say you live in a corner house and the city says, you know what, we want to make the roads bigger. We're gonna move like this, the crosswalk. We're gonna move it over here a little bit more. La 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 la. We're gonna take some more of your land. They have to pay you for that. Okay. Now they're gonna pay you what the land is worth. Okay, with that little sliver of land, whatever much it is. It might be something as small as 10,000. It could be as high as 100,000. Who knows? Okay, but the thing is, this is not a time to be trying to strike it rich with the city and say, "I want $5 million." The whole property isn't worth $5 million, so you're not going to get it. Okay, um, so don't fight the city because then they can use a thing called eminent domain where the as long as the city or state whatever shows that, hey, life is going to be better for everybody if we use this land, then the courts will basically say, okay, you've proven your case, which the city and state will do well, and then you'll get the very bare minimum for that piece of land. So don't push it. Okay. Now, very quickly on the bottom, Miranda v. Arizona. Okay, a lot of you guys have heard about the Miranda rights, either from movies, TV shows, things like that. Now, the cops have to read you your Miranda rights prior to questioning. Okay. Now, if you get arrested and they don't read you your rights, you keep your mouth closed. All you got to say is, I want to talk to my lawyer. I want to talk to my lawyer. I want to talk to my lawyer. When you finally get that, the call to go call a lawyer, or even a public defender, they could be the stupidest person on earth. They know that, hey, if you tell them they haven't read me my Miranda rights, they know exactly what to do. When you go before the judge, to set up the court date and so talk about bail and things like that, all your lawyer has to say is this: Your Honor, my client wasn't read the Miranda rights. The judge will look at the prosecution and say, where is the paperwork saying that the cop read it to him, that the person signed off on it? They won't have it. So basically, anything you said that the cops took, things like that, will be inadmissible, meaning it can't be used against you. All right. So, like I said in class, don't be if the cops ever arrest you and they're taking you in and some of that about to question you, do not say, you guys haven't read me my Miranda rights, because what do you think they're going to do? They're going to read you your rights. And now you lost that ticket. Okay. You just keep your mouth closed. Okay. Now, let's say the cops do read you your rights. This is what they'll say: You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. Now, this is where a student in class really just drove me nuts. They say here, do you understand the rights I have just read to you? Now, if you understand it, you say yes. Okay? I've had some students in the past tell me, well, I'm going to say no. No. Every time they tell me, do you understand? I'm going to say no. Here's the thing, guys. When you make the police and courts' life difficult, they will make your life exponentially more difficult. Okay? Because basically what they do is, if you don't understand it, they have protocols of things to do. They make the wording simpler. They have, a checklist of stuff to do. Okay. Now, if you keep saying no, 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 I don't understand. No, they're basically just going to look into your files and be like, does this person have a mental disability where they can't understand these words and things like that? That they don't have the cognitive dissonance to understand these rights. This short amount. And if there's nothing that says that, then you're just basically being defiant. And they can go before a judge saying, you know what, Your Honor, we've read them the rights. We went through the whole protocol. This person's just being defiant, you know. And the judge will basically be like, okay, yeah, there's nothing on the file saying that they have any type of cognitive or mental disability. So basically, it's like an admittance of, I understand, but I just want to be defiant against you. And that is like one of the worst things you can do. Okay. Simply saying, yes, I understand my rights isn't admitting to guilt. I think that's what that one student was thinking. If I say, yeah, I understand my rights, I'm admitting that I'm guilty of something. No, you're answering the question. Do you understand these rights I have read to you? Yes. Now it's the next part where you say no. With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? No. And the thing is, you don't have to say, like a student said, oh, F no, or hell no. You don't have to go that far. You could just say no. That's it. Okay? But saying, yeah, I understand my rights isn't admitting guilt to anything. Okay? And if you keep saying no, 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 just to be defiant, like I said, they will make your life very difficult. Okay? You think you're making their job harder? they're going to make your life more difficult. Okay? And if that's what you want, so be it. That's your choice. But I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Okay? Just say, yes, if you really understand what they're saying, you understand these rights. Yes, I understand it. And no, I don't want to speak to you. Simple as that. The Sixth Amendment says in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature of cause of accusation, to be confronted with the witness against them, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Excuse me. Now, the first part, all criminal prosecutions to right to a speedy trial. When they mean speedy trial, they don't mean when you get arrested, you get a court case like in 2 days. No, no, you have to remember the court system's really backed up. Not just with new trials, but uh, you got like hold on one second. Sorry about that. So these are filled with court cases that are for a repeal or retrial. So it's full. It's just there's a lot. Okay. So yeah, don't be expecting like right away. Okay, it's gonna take some time. Now, let's say you commit a crime. Let's say in Fresno. Okay. Um, you will have your court in Fresno. Okay, and your jury people should be people who, I hate to say this, but they don't care about you. And what I mean by that is they don't like know you and be like, oh, you know what? I hated that fool. I'm gonna make sure they go to jail. No, you don't want people like that in your jury. And your lawyer should be able to point out those people if you see them and you're like, hey, that guy, me and him had a beef back in high school or middle school or whatever. That your jury, your lawyer would be like, "Hey, Your Honor, we have a partial juror member. We need to let number such such out. They have a bias to my client. You know, and then they'll let that person go. Okay, but you want people who don't know you, who aren't gonna have any prejudice against you, and basically will look at the facts of the case and decide from that if you're innocent or guilty, and not based off who you are, what you look like, where you're from, things like that. Okay. Now, just by, let's just say, whatever reason, um, you accidentally kill somebody who's very popular in Fresno. Like everyone loves them. Like the guy Kopi, the weather guy. Let's say you accidentally kill him. People in Fresno know who he is, and people like him. So you won't get an impartial jury there. So what they'll do is they'll move your trial to, let's say, like LA or Sacramento, a place like that. It's still within the state of California, but now you'll have an impartial jury because those people have no idea who that guy Kopi is. They don't know who you are, so they'll be more likely to be an impartial jury members over there, as opposed to Fresno, where everyone here knows that guy, likes him, and things like that. And they might, you know, you won't get an impartial jury. Um, if you ever get arrested, the cops will arrest you and they'll tell you what you're being charged with: murder, accessory, aiding and abetting, whatever it may be. Okay, so they're going to let you know what you're being charged with. And on top of that, you get to see who's accusing you in court. Now, I've had some students say, well, because I told them, if you are the key witness and you don't show up to court, the person can get off. And they're like, oh, well, if I was the person who saw them, they have my statement. I don't have to go to court. I'm like, your statement is one thing, but the defendant, his lawyer, they have to cross-examine you. They can't cross-examine a report. They have to be able to talk to you. And if you don't show up, that person gets away scot-free. Because you're the key witness. You know, and if you're that person that they're being accused of something, and that other person doesn't show up who said they saw you, yeah, your lawyer gets to cross-examine them. And sometimes those people don't show up to court. It's happened before. Also, if you are being accused of a crime, your lawyer can get witnesses to say, you know what? Oh yeah, you're a great person. You're whatever you're accused of. It's pure BS. La la la. Whatever it may be. The thing is, though, you got to be careful with this too, because if your witnesses, the people who are going to say stuff good about you, have a shady background, a checkered background, been in trouble with the law, it it's easy for the prosecution to attack those witnesses, you know, and things like that. And a lot of times, a lot of those witnesses who've been in the court system and things like that, they see these prosecution people as like, I don't want to answer your question, you know, F you, I don't want to talk to you. And they like turn their backs on them, won't answer that lawyer's questions. And that makes you look even worse when your own witness is being a hostile witness to the prosecution. It just looks so much worse on you, because that's your person saying good things about you. And all of a sudden, the other side's lawyer gets to say stuff and they're acting like a fool. Okay, so you need somebody who's squeaky clean, who's going to answer both sides of the questions and do a good job. Okay, the last one is to have assistance of counsel. Guys, these are the public defenders. Never, ever, ever, ever say, I don't want a public defender. Take the public defender. Okay, never, ever say, I'm declined. Because do you know the law? Probably not. Chances are you don't know the law very well. You know, you may have, oh, I heard stuff on TikTok, which is full of crap. A lot of that stuff is pure BS. So you need a lawyer. And yes, public defenders, yeah, they're sometimes it seems like they're tired and this and that. You have to remember these guys are overworked. They have like a ton of other people. It's not just that they have one client, that's it. No, they have like 20 clients going from court to court to court to court to court to court, getting evidence and talking to witnesses and getting things prepared, opening statements, closing statements, you know. So they're really overworked. They're really tired. So give them a break, okay? They're trying their best. It's only humans, so be kind. All right. So here is your question. Do you think the wording of the amendments should be more specific, or is it good that's kind of vague to leave room for interpretation? Now, um, I said in class, when I talk about the amendments, it's not just what the cops can and can't do, it's also your rights. You can't cherry pick it. You can't say, oh, I want to be vague for my rights, but specific for the cops, what they can and can't do. No, no. It has to be one or the other. Either very specific for you and the cops and authority, or vague for both. And remember, vague means it's not specific. So like if your parents said you're going to a party and you're like, hey, I'll be home later. Or I'll be home, and they're like, when? You say later. Later could be 2 hours, it could be 3 days. It it's later. There's no specific. Okay? That's being vague. So again, should the wording of the amendments for your rights, cops' rights, what you can't do, what they can't do, things like that, should it be specific or should it be vague? And why? So the writing prompts on the bottom there for you. Um, and once you finish this question, you're done with this lesson. So I do apologize for the length of this video, but again, uh, this is one of the most important lessons, that I could teach you guys. So hopefully you listen to it, and if you didn't, um, I just hope that none of the stuff I mentioned ever applies to you in later on in the future. Because again, this is the kind of stuff you should keep in the back of your mind for the rest of your life. Not just for your sake, but also like your family members and people you love and care about, so because they need to know their rights too. Okay. So with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.